trying to allow you to make an observation. I believe Dexter Mahadio would like to make a comment. Go right ahead.
It has been said that the family court is the only court where a woman can perjure and face no consequences, absolutely no consequences. And it has been seen, and there is a rationale behind it. The rationale behind it by the judiciary is, well, if we put this woman in jail, who will take care of the child? Somehow the fact that the father can take care of the child falls out of the logic of the judiciary. So the reason behind not taking any pecuniary interest on the, or matters on the woman is they know they face no consequences in the court. Because they can lie in the court, perjure in the court. Look at any movie. Women throw drinks on men, they hit men. I am telling you personally, forget about the level of physical violence. For every one woman that is battered, there are over 100 men that take it. Walk through campus. You'll see a guy makes a joke, and a woman hits him, you stupid boy, or you this. The man comes out as a buffoon, and the woman gets her way all the time.
Okay, I know there are a number of issues that you want to raise.
Yeah, I'm not going to cut you on. Basically, that is it.
Dr. Moultrie, I think wounds are being reopened here in this dialogue, because fundamentally it is about a perception and a feeling by many men, many single fathers, that they are victims of a system, an environment, a perception and attitudes that automatically assume that they are the guilty parties even before a proper judgment takes place. Is that fair?
I think it's not fair to men, but I think it's definitely the perception of men and boys.
Is it a correct perception?
I think it's an absolutely correct perception. It's absolutely correct. If you listen to, with all due respect, I like to listen to what I call the psychic momentum of conversations. And I'm listening to different people, and the psychic momentum for many is men have to put themselves, are in the position of defending themselves before even getting started. It's in our psyche. One of the things that the courts must take into account is the way that information is contributed to officers and to the court personnel and to counselors. And that is with drama, the ability of a woman to pull forth sympathy, drama, and if that person that they are talking with has an issue themselves, to stimulate them on their issue. So they are no longer objective. Lots of women use that technique to get your attention, and a whole host of things that go down that road. If it isn't for sometimes family members coming forth and saying, you see how that behavior is? She does that a lot. Another thing to be, which I'm talking about, needs to be taken into account, is the word lying, the ability to lie, the behavior of lying, which is also a form of violence, which is also just so vast. And vindictive behavior, utilizing the court system to exert vindictive behavior, which I call a form of legal violence. Those are very significant things in which police officers, intervention officers, court systems are entangled with. And if you hear one side of the story, what? Child? He did that? I heard somebody told a lawyer about that she reported something. And the lawyer immediately said, that was a good thing that you reported that. But I know the story behind it. And I can see where that potential for that to go down the road, even though it hasn't gone down that road. I can see where the potential was, because that's where the lawyer's head was set at. Influence is very, very powerful. We are a society that has, I can't emphasize it enough, we have a negative thoughts and perceptions about our fathers, and that becomes, I didn't bring my glasses, that becomes our vision of the world. And we think that that's normal. And that's the energies, the thought energies that we put out to boys and men, and they're struggling in that psyche. In a family unit, if the mother has that psyche and the father is not there because that psyche pushes the father out, oftentimes that father may be one who is resonating with that psyche and push himself out. And if those boy children are raised by that invalidating psyche, that's going to cause a lot of psychological trauma that they're not even realizing that they're under. Where you'll see it expressed as angry behavior, invalidating behavior, smoking and drinking on the outside, not doing well in school. And everybody would say, well, look at those boys. They're just not doing well in school. They're lazy. They just want to go. It's more than that. We don't address the more than that. Very often with boys and men, we have a conclusion. I'm sorry.
A conclusion based on fact, based on numbers. You go to Mount Hope, you go in this same building, and it's a whole heap of girls attending classes.
I heard a minister, I won't say who, actually say that boys are not interested in doing well in school. I blew my mind that I heard this. It was in the past. I won't say it was present. Okay, it just blew my mind.
And his name is?
But I have also heard explanations as to why girls are not doing well. There's a host of things. Things not going on well at home. The stress, usually comes back to male, boys and fathers or things at home. They take the role things. So we look for an explanation with the females, but we just have this assumption down here, males, they're not interested, they're not doing that kind of thing. But we don't do the same thing. What happened with their mother and father relationship? What's happening with their psyche? What's going on? We don't do the same analysis.
In fact, before we continue, we have a question from the floor. Or one that can be
Good
made
afternoon,
possible.
everyone. I just want to say we need to understand it's not man versus woman. It's supposed to be a team thing. It's supposed to be man and woman and children. Or if we have a man and woman in a relationship, and forgive me for all the other variations, but I'm saying we are talking about boys. First of all, boys don't think like girls. I've listened to the panel, and we need to understand that men are, and men, please don't get this the wrong way. Men need more embracing than women. And we need to understand that. And when I say embracing, I mean psychologically, socially, and every other way. If a boy operates in a particular way, he is seen as weak. He is seen as having homosexual tendencies. He's seen as all sorts of things. Yes, I agree with Mr. Fields. I agree with Ms. Sampson Brown. I agree with everybody. The statistics are not there. But the reality is that women abuse children, all forms. We don't hear when women abuse children. Nobody goes to court for that. What evidence would you have of a woman abusing a boy child? Or even a girl child? What evidence? So the society has been living with blinkers on and assuming that men are always doing wrong things and assuming that men, don't bother with he, let whatever. We seen girls in the classroom, you know why? You know why we seen girls in the classroom? Because like in me, who grew up in the 70s, your mother tell you, look for work to mind yourself, to see about yourself, take care of yourself. You have a husband, but you must be able to see about yourself. And some women, I'm sorry if you're upset, don't understand that the role of the male is to be the head, to be in charge, to care for.
Someone say that's an archaic sort of
And that is why we're having so much problems in this society. Because you know why? You know why? A lot of women are not equipped. And ladies, I'm one of the strongest women that I know. A lot of women are not equipped to be in charge. And it's the truth. The truth and nothing but the truth. So help to my living creator.
We have some other persons who would like to make an observation. The gentleman first and then the lady behind. Go ahead.
Thank you, panel. Let me first salute you on the confidence to be able to make that declaration in this modern time. But what is the fundamentals of it? Are we instilling rebellion within the society? Are we instilling a war between genders? Or are we really looking beyond and saying, listen, there must be structure and there must be order. And if there's to be structure and to be order, what is that order? What is that acceptable system that we are to implement and to use and to develop our young men so that we can get the type of end product we deserve? I'm saying this evening that we can continue to labor on the point, but until as a society we reach that place of saying, listen, men are important, boys are important, the stigma of saying that men are bad and boys are bad. I'm asking us this afternoon, what is it about your young boy, 5 years old, that makes him demonized or makes him a stigma, or you consider him to be a rapist or you consider him to be a molester? What is it that he has done so that society can brand him? And today we have society saying men are bad. Not only men as the adult, but children, young boys who are innocent. We are seeing that there's a problem in society with young men. But the focus is not on men. They are dying in the hills of Laventille. They are dying in Belmont. They are dying in Enterprise. Where is the cry? Where is the heart for young men in this nation? We see institutions that have been designed to care. They don't have a heart for young men. They don't have a passion for young men. They don't have a drive. Because what has happened is that we have become so cultured in this attitude that men are bad, men are bitter, men are sour, men are to be demonized, that we are not listening to the cries.
You obviously very, very strong feelings. Let's hear the contribution from the lady. Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Rachel, and I'm part of the social movement Support for Change. Now, I have to firstly say that I extremely and highly disagree with what the coordinator of the parent unit said, where women are not equipped to deal or to be the head of the household. Mainly, oh, I'm glad you clarified that. Because I have to say that patriarchal notions like this is exactly what is wrong with everything. We did we were actually one of the first people to celebrate International Men's Day in the country. We said that men are good men and we need to acknowledge it. And the reality is that we need to have a paradigm shift when it comes to gendered notions. We need to ignore the roles that we have put on men and women and acknowledge that we're all human and we need to be able to take care of children, not man does the father thing and woman does the nurturing, the mother thing, the nurturing, and all of that. All I'm saying is that we need to ignore or disregard these rigid notions of how a person is supposed to be. Because the exact same policing of masculinity, that is why we have boys who don't want to study. Because boys are being told that's a sissy thing. So we need to have a way to show that everyone can move together. Not a specific role, not a specific duty, but as people and human beings progress in society. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your observation. One more observation before we return to the panel. And yes, ma'am.
My belief is that, number one, communication is needed across gender roles, both men and women. Number two, stereotypes need to be redefined. And number three, we're facing the economic realities, and that's changing the home with mothers and fathers. And we have to find a middle ground. And that middle ground is best found when we put the interest of the child ahead of our own personal interest. And I think a lot of people have touched on it. What happens in childhood affects us as adults. If we can go back as a society and make the right investment in childhood, issues that we're discussing today will have no room to discuss. You'll have adults able to deal with one another, informed to make decisions about their sexual production, about their parenting roles. And again, just like that man said, when I look at my two children, and I said it's a privilege to raise a boy and a girl, because I have a vested interest in both their outcomes. Sometimes we have to go back when you start something. You have to say, what outcome do I want? The outcome I want in my home is a boy who understands his role, because he has a role. I come from an ethnic studies background, so we talk about stereotypes and genders and all these things. I used to believe those were wrong. But coming as a married woman, I understand those roles also help to define society, and we need them. So to ignore them is also problematic. We need to find a ground somewhere, like he said, we need to find a ground somewhere where we, as adults today, can say, what is the end product of Trinidad and Tobago? What will the next generation of children look like? And the thing is, both the little boy and the little girl need to walk together. And the only way we can make that happen is if we adults as parents, regardless of our status, I think a lot of the men here would speak of it. You didn't begin that relationship with the anticipation of becoming single, but that's your reality. So in that reality, how do we create families that can adjust? How does the court system, from the attorneys to the judges, take your role into consideration? How do the mothers, and we're not talking about it, and that bothers me. I have to be realistic at times, that sometimes we as women are some of our own problems. And we also need to realize, and I learned it, I said, when we sat down, someone used the word submission to me with my background. I was like, me submit? What kind of word is that? Do we use that in the 21st century? But we do use that word in the 21st century. Because every day you submit to your boss at work. You don't submit to your boss at work, you have no job. But when we talk about in gender roles, it becomes another issue. It becomes a negative word. But you submit every day to keep your job. So maybe we need to learn to submit to keep our jobs as parents.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Yasana.